Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the 912 where we'll be finally mounting the body back on the floor. Okay, as you can see, we finally completely prepped our floor to receive the body back on it. We've got weld through primer on all the areas where we'll be welding the body onto the floor. We've mounted our suspension mounting points on our jig brackets here to make sure they're in line, and then we've had to spot weld this in place. We've got some holes drilled where we're going to have to plug weld up onto the seat rail brackets. There's a couple of other areas we've had to do like that. But yeah, pretty much everything now is ready to weld together. So we're going to drop the body down and clamp it all in place. Now we've dropped the body back onto the floor, we can use all of our jig brackets to make sure that the body is aligned with the floor properly. With the body now fully bolted down, I can get the shell back into the metalwork room and start clamping up all of the seams where the body meets the floor. Then I can start using the spot welder to weld the floor to the body. With the pinch seam on the outside all spot welded together, I can now turn my attention onto the longitudinal panel where I drilled lots of holes to let me plug weld it onto the floor. That's the offside done, onto the near side. Once I've finished all of these welds, I'll then use the belt sander and angle grinder just to tidy these welds up. And there we go, that's the floor all finished. I've tidied up all of the welds so you can't tell that they've been plug welded. Really happy with how this has come out. Onto the front side members. That's the side members spot welded in. There's also these little triangle reinforcement panels that tie in with the front subframe mounts too. Okay, so I've just test fitted this fuel tank support panel here. Just put a couple of screws in it, there's 2 underneath the tank as well. And then I wanted to pop the tank in to make sure everything fit nice. I wanted to make sure that the bolt holes were in the right place for bolting the tank down. So we've got one here, one in the corner there, and just one there. So yeah, just wanted to make sure everything fitted nice before I then prepped it and welded it in. Okay, so I have had this rear seat area and parcel shelf all test fitted now. I've pinned the parcel shelf to the rear seat section where it needs to be. So I'm going to prep that and weld these 2 panels together. The customers brought over the old one that they cut out. So this has got loads of bits and pieces that we need to take off of this and put onto the new panel. Things like these brackets, seat belt mounts, seat mount, brackets, more brackets, and then when you flip it over, we've actually got the hinge mounts for the tailgate hinges. So we've got lots to move over. This is going to take a little while, and then we can look at getting the actual rear seat area fitted back into the shell. So we're going to start with the parcel shelf. I've marked the location of these brackets here and here, and these as well. And if I flip it over, I've measured the distance across here. They can only really go in one place because of the shape of them. We're not going to put these tags onto the new panel because I don't think we're going to be running sound deadening in the engine bay. We're just going to have that nicely painted. And then the last thing I've got to do is remove this bracket and move it onto the rear seating area. Okay, so we have our engine lid hinge mounts all cleaned up and ready to weld in both sides. I've checked the measurement between them and that's correct. I've had to make some strengthening plates because the original ones were rotten for these brackets, so they'll get spot welded in. And then our brackets for the other side are just chilling out in some rust curer or rust eater. So We'll leave them for a while, probably a few hours, give them a clean off, and then they can be spot welded on. And that is the parcel shelf all ready to go. I've moved all of the brackets over, and I've also cleaned up all the edges and used weld through primer where we need to weld it together. Okay, I've spent much longer than I realised getting all of the brackets and bits moved over onto this. I've made these wiring loom tabs and welded these on. We've got the seat belt mounting brackets here. And if I flip it over, we've got all of the brackets for the panel that sits over all of this. Rear seat bracket. More trim brackets. There's another couple on the front here. So they all had to be removed off the old one. They were then cleaned up, rust treated, prepped and welded on, and it has just taken an age, but we are finally ready to start welding bits together and getting it in the car. Well, that's the rear seat and parcel shelf area welded in now. I've just got this tiny little panel that goes between the parcel shelf and rear screen aperture to spot weld in. I'm having to use a different spot welding gun because my usual one won't fit in there. Well, I had to make sure I didn't forget this bit. The rear seatbelt mount finally turned up in the post so I could spot weld this in. Well, thanks for watching another video. I really appreciate you guys checking it out. Next video, we've got quite a lot going on with the bodywork. So yeah, the car's really going to start to take shape. So don't forget to check back for that one in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and please share the videos as well. Thank you.